Too much Monken, not enough Monken. Now that's a given.
For me, it's already too much. Unless he's coming with Harbaugh.
Well, no, that Diana Rossini had reported that was one of the sticking points.
Yeah.
He didn't want to move on from Todd Monken, and they said, be gone. So was it now, is Ian Rappaport right that it was the locker room that gave up on John Harbaugh, or did the locker room give up on Monken?
They were the 13th best offense this year by famed EPA per play, Kenny, as you know, that's one of your vaunted statistics you like to toss out.
It's not.
Anyway,
I talked to the people, and I don't think they really care.
Success rate, they were also 13th in the NFL. But you feel like with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, even Zay Flowers, every time I see him, he's wide open. Every game I see him, whether he catches the ball or not, but every game I see, he's running wide open. And for whatever reason, you would feel like those pieces and parts, Likely and Andrews, I know Andrews is on the downside, and Likely has a play in the back of the end zone every week that could be a touchdown or might not be a touchdown, depending on what New York thinks when they go to the review. Feels like that offense should be better than 13th, no? Am I wrong in saying that?
You would.
You have a two-time MVP as your quarterback, and you're only 13th best?
You would think yes, you would. But we know that they want to talk to Todd Monken, and there's a couple other names. There was a new name that was put out there last night, and it's named by the name of Aden Durde, Durde, Dirty. And I don't play it yet. So
what does he do for a living?
Who he is. He is the defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, they have the best defense in the league this year.
There's a man named Brian Nemheiser.
Second best?
He is a podcaster, writer, Hawks blogger is his name on social media. Social media reactions brought to you by who on?
Scheibman Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
He goes into a deep dive. This is a Seahawks guy. Goes into a deep dive about Aden Durde and says very nice things about him. Tends to lean more towards rushing for, playing coverages versus sending extra rushers. He's not hyper-aggressive. Says, bit of a unicorn. Spent time learning on the personnel side and on the coaching side. Players want to play for him. Multiple former Cowboys came to Seattle because he was here. DeMarcus Lawrence told me he would not be here if AD was not here. He goes by AD to the players. Quote, absolute stud. Because this all starts with, for Browns fans curious about Aden Durde, here are my observations after 2 years in Seattle. Says absolute stud, knows who he is, and always at ease. Dynamic personality, no question he can command a room and lead men. These are all nice things. Guys, I'm open-minded. Now, yes, John Harbaugh's out there. Would love John Harbaugh. Certainly, that's true. I'm open-minded. They come in all categories. However, I'm a sports talk radio show host, guys. We had Mike Holmgren here. You couldn't get Mike Holmgren's last name right. We had segments on how Mike Holmgren's last name was butchered. The nicknames of Stefanski were long, numerous,
and bad.
And well, here is, if you've never heard Aden Durde have a press conference, here is the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator.
Our mission is to constantly improve, like consistent improvement, consistent self-improvement, consistent position group improvement, and unit improvement. And I think, obviously, at times you're on that level and you're always trying to push, but that's what we've seen. Consistent improvement, guys trying to be better versions of themselves, and some of it shown up on the field.
Aden is from Middlesex, England. And if you get him, and I'm open-minded, you better win, because I'm not going to be able to take a call. And it's not going to happen. They'll call in with the chance of the Premier League about him. They will say, how many calls are we going to take that? Oh, he thinks he's got to kick the ball. He thinks Jerry Jeudy has to kick the ball into the goalpost or something. You understand that the calls are going to be insufferable, and we won't be able to take a call if they lose games in October and in November and December. I'm open-minded, but my God, you better win games soon, because there's no way.
So
they
what?
Couldn't get Holmgren right.
Are you saying, though,
they couldn't get that right? They couldn't get Stefanski right. They couldn't, and then they didn't want to get it right. And it's just like, man, if they go out there and they don't play well and they lose games, I'm not going to be able to take a call.
Are you saying that they're not open-minded, that somebody could come from a different continent or from a different country and know their football?
You can come from a different country, certainly. Gunther Cunningham came from a different country, if I'm not mistaken. You can do that. But you understand is that if they lose games, you will have soccer jokes made constantly on this station. You know that. You know it. We won't be...
Now, sounds...
Well, we won't make the jokes. They will be making calls all day. We just won't be able to take a call if they lose games.
Who sounded worse? Like the picture from Freddie Kitchens talking after a loss to this dude. Do either of them sound good?
Well, because I would say, and guys, I do this ever since the Holmgren stuff. I swear to God, I go, okay, how are they going to mix up the guys' names? How are the jokes going to play? How's all that going to happen? You know it's going to happen.
So he played in the NFL.
Yeah, of course.
He was with Carolina and Kansas City. Also played with the London Olympians and Hamburg. He was in Hamburg. He was the Bill Walsh NFL Diversity Coaching Fellowship recipient with the Falcons in 2016. So he's given an opportunity and used that as a springboard.
I'm reading all this here. I'm as open-minded as it gets. I want him to do, if he were to be the head coach of the Browns, I would obviously want him to do well, but I would be terrified if they go out and lose. I don't think I'd be able to take a call.
I mean, this is pretty, you want to talk about like a meteoric rise in a coaching community to become the defensive coordinator of one of the best defenses in football short order.
He might be a sleeping giant, but you understand what the last hour has been. It's been John Harbaugh, Super Bowl winner, beat his brother in the Super Bowl where the lights went out, the whole thing. A thorn in Browns fans' side for 18 years. There were children born who are graduating high school. You went from superstar head coach to Aden Durde. I want to make sure the name's right. Aden Durde, who a lot of people are just hearing about for the first time here.
Sounds like Cian Fahey meets Sam Monson.
Yeah, it's a good question. We were talking about it this morning.
Now, I will say that it is... The accent is if they do well, that's going to get a lot of people on their side. Everybody likes it. If they do well, people like a successful English accent. They do. You know that.
I mean,
Makes you feel more sophisticated.
Every single show we watch that my wife watches on Netflix is all British. It's Harlan Coben.
I don't know.
Some author.
Tell you.
Look at Netflix it feels like thousands of shows.
I don't give a damn. If they win football games, I'll call 76 Lou Groves a Downton Abbey. I don't give a damn. It don't matter to me. But if they lose games, we just ain't going to be able to take a phone call. I know how it's going to go. And I'm not going to want to look at the social media. So I hope he does well.
I see Owen's head spin. He wanted to say, it's third Downton Abbey. I can see it.
That's very good.
I'm looking at it.
I just want to hear the post-game speech.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Now, if he did a little bit of that, I think fans could warm up to him very quickly.
Yeah, that might be pretty good. It's just got to win. Any of the guys got to win. Or you could have a name, Anthony Lima, and they're going to butcher it and make fun of it and write parodies. I did it.
Couldn't tell you.
I did it. I just did it to be safe. I don't know if you're allowed to say that. I follow some of the EPL things on the Instagram when they do the chants.
Of course you do.
They casually drop the F-bombs in their chants in the stadium. Oh, my God. It's amazing. Like, you'll hear a BS chant here in the States over something that's a bad call. They do chants, and it's just F-bomb after F-bomb over there, man. They do not care. Okay. Paul Brown would be excited, our buddy over there, wouldn't he? Got him. But yeah, man, it's going to be an uphill battle because you don't think the team's going to be very good, and I don't want to put the hope in and say, like, remember, it's a wish. It's not an expectation about John Harbaugh. It's not an expectation. So it's not like, hey, I don't want to turn this into, you guys had the chance to get John Harbaugh, you got Aden Durde. It isn't like that. Like when people mix up the Vrabel thing, I don't want to do that, but it's like, hey, man, any of these guys is going to be an uphill battle, but there's going to be a lot of spots where you won't even be able to take a call if that were the case. 216-474-0092. 8:22, by the way. Guys, I think they have a lot more confidence in their process than you would ever even think. And that's why I think you're probably going to be underwhelmed by all this coming up here once they finally figure out who they want their head coach to be. John Harbaugh canned yesterday in Baltimore, which led us all to really want John Harbaugh really, really bad. There has been some pushback here. Some pushback. Not too terribly much. Some pushback, which, by the way, when we got to the Aden Durde conversation, Scott messaged me and wrote it would be a bizarro Ted Lasso. Yeah, you know those jokes would come. Well, Andrew Barry was just watching Ted Lasso and decided to come up with a crazy idea. Yeah, you know that's going to happen. I'm open-minded to anybody. The NFL changes every day. It evolves every day. But if you don't win, I'm not going to be able to take a call. It ain't going to happen. We'll talk more about him coming up a little bit later on. But like John Harbaugh becomes an open candidate, and there's been a little bit of pushback here. Our one buddy, Craig Lindell, formerly WFNY, you remember him, Tone? You should. Craig's a good dude. He did post, he goes, I think Harbaugh is a good coach, but Browns fan logic confuses me. Underperforming with that roster, and you're all gassing up the plane for a man in his 60s.
Yeah,
I just have to take the good with the bad, and there's been a lot of good, but I got to take some of the good with the bad.
Yeah, well, I think too often we do get in the mode of we're binary on everything. Everything is good or bad. Mm-hmm. We do it with players, quarterbacks. I've been guilty of it, and head coaches. You just made up in your mind that a coach is good or bad, like Mike McCarthy, right? Everybody just made up their mind because the success reached a point with Aaron Rodgers, of all people, and you're like, you can't win with Aaron Rodgers anymore? That's it? There's going to be no more winning with the best quarterback in the NFL, which is what, the sentiment was for a while, or at least top 2, top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And then he goes to Dallas. He goes 12-5, 3 straight years. And people are like, he's not a good coach. So people just make up their mind on these things. And Harbaugh has been there so long that when you do anything for 18 years, which is how long he had been there, which is just crazy in today's landscape of sports. It's hard to find anybody in any realm that is in the same spot for 18 years. You're eventually going to have bad times. Nobody has 18 great years. How was Andy Reid this season? What did people start to say
6-11
this year? Oh boy, Andy Reid has lost his grip on. He's not. His contemporaries are lapping the field with him in the division. He lost the division one time.
Yeah, they did win it 9 straight years, right on.
Yep. One time. And so now we're down on Andy Reid. And we had seen this with our sister station in Pittsburgh. I mean, Mike Tomlin had been amazing for how long, and now it's like, is Mike Tomlin ever going to win a playoff game again? He's bad. He's objectively bad. Look at the decisions. They were doing it on Sunday night as his team had no business winning that game. And yes, a lot of fluky things happen. But again, somehow the voodoo that they possess, they won. They ended up winning.
It's actually holy water.
Whatever you call it. And they somehow bested Lamar and Harbaugh. Now Harbaugh is out. I do think, if you're ever living in a world where you're just like, that coach is just good or bad, then who are you ever going to like? I mean, Sean Payton at the end, people are like, Sean Payton overrated, won 1 Super Bowl, and then we crowned him, and that was 20 years ago. And
well, no, I'll admit, I'll throw it out myself. I've always been trying to wait for. I gave up, but there was numerous years I was waiting for the other shoe to drop and be able to pounce on Kyle Shanahan. Why? Because I don't think he's a good guy. I don't like him, and I have to admit he's a good coach. And I have to, but there was so many years there where I was going, you guys are just fixated on the last name. If for some reason you've picked this darling of this head coach, and no, he's had to make that kind of conversation look like a fool for a long time. But I'm just looking at it from a Browns fan's perspective here, where I think Browns fans are looking for trust. And I think that they're afraid right now. I think that a lot of fans felt that it was time to move on from both, and they only moved on from one. They still don't trust the organization. And I think they're looking for somebody that they can trust. And the names that they've heard, I mean, Todd Monken, we've had a lot of fun at his expense. I think that a lot of people, if they were going to give power to the offense in 2019, they would have went with Todd Monken instead of Freddie Kitchens. But really, what were you getting out of it? John Harbaugh buys trust. John Harbaugh would buy respect. And you would have to pay a lot of money to go get John Harbaugh because there's 6 other jobs that are open, and everybody out there keeps saying that you're the worst job that's out there. And I can try to put as sunny disposition as much as I possibly can on how great I think this job could be. Because, yeah, you have a chance to become a legend. And John Harbaugh could look at it and go, I'm already a legend. I'm 63. I'm already a legend. I coached a good team. I won a Super Bowl. I don't need to go and save you if I don't want to. What's in it for me? What's it going to be for me? Because I'll tell you what, again, when it comes back to the quarterback, we're going to find out about what a lot of these teams, a lot of the teams outside the Cleveland Browns, a lot of the organizations, what they really think of Shedeur Sanders here. We're going to start to find out some of this stuff as some of these meeting things get leaked out here over time. And so we're going to have some very strong conversations here in the month of January, stronger than I thought. And I didn't foresee when we were talking coaches last summer and possibilities that, if Kevin doesn't do it this year, he's got to go. Maybe a lot of people got to go. I didn't foresee that type of conversation happening. There's going to be a lot of things. There's going to be some knockdown, dragouts, and red faces here in the month of January that I didn't think so. But what John Harbaugh would do, I don't know him personally, is if you actually were able to announce him as your next head coach, I think immediately the fans would be back on your side. I think immediately they'd go, hey, I got an owner who's willing to do what's necessary to bring in a guy that we trust. And I don't know how long it would last. The team is not great offensively whatsoever. They're bad offensively. The team's bad offensively.
The worst. They were the worst in the league this year.
There's a lot of things that you have to fix. And I don't think it's all going to be fixed just this year. So you're going to need a little bit of time to do so. So as time goes on, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to work with? What is he willing to go through at 63 years old? Does he want more of a ready-made situation? The Giants may be more, quote, of a ready-made situation. Does he want somebody who's more of a sure thing? It seems that Fernando Mendoza and the draft starts at 2 because Mendoza's going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. Would that be a possibility for him? I mean, we could do this for a while. And you said it. There are 7 different teams, not 6. There were 7 different teams, according to Schefter, that were looking into him. So that means that there's a team right now that has a head coach that's already kicking the tires on him. So you would assume that they're probably going to be in a better situation than we are. So what do you got to do to go get it? That means you have to make him as comfortable as possible, give him whatever he wants. You have to be full on in love with him to do it. And then if you got him, I think that you would get a lot of trust back from the fan base.
Yeah, because it's not just,
it is a name.
It's not just money.
It is.
Because all these teams can offer money.
It is name honoring. I am giving him what he would want based on his past. I don't know as much about the future because of the age, because of this recent year. I can't blame everything on injury, can I? There's been a lot of injuries there. Can I blame it all on them? Can I put it on DaCosta? Does he become a scapegoat in that game? Like these, I'm just asking a bunch of questions that I don't know the answer to yet because we're still early in this process. I'm just telling you right now what I think the fan base's reaction would be, and I think the grace that they would give the Browns if they were to bring in a John Harbaugh. But I don't even know if he'll give us the time of day to talk to him. 216-474-0092. Nick in Painesville, you're first up on the Fan. Hello.
So if you brought John Harbaugh over here, my question would be this. Our offense really wasn't that bad because we scored like 30 points a game. Our defense wasn't taking care of the other side of the ball, not allowing the other teams to score. I mean, we got one guy on the defense that does good, and the rest of them suck, and we're going to say we got the best defense on the planet?
I'm very curious. Are we talking about...
You're called a Cleveland.
You're calling the Browns.
Which year
this is in Cincinnati, right?
I'm talking right now, this year. Every game we scored points, but if the defense doesn't stop the other team,
oh my
God in heaven! Sweet chin music! You calling 15-30 in Cincinnati, or?
That's the opposite of what happened.
Okay. Cool Ray in Bedford. Hello.
Hey, what's up? I think dude got caught in the Wayback Machine. I don't know what year he talking about. Wow.
He just wake up. What's it?
We had by the way, I said we had the worst offense in football by a few of the metrics. We had the 31st. It was actually the Raiders had the worst offense.
I thought I might have thought Raiders, but I wasn't sure. Go ahead.
I don't think you bring Harbaugh in here because of the fact that, listen, I don't care about the age. What I care about is productivity. You had Lamar Jackson, an MVP caliber quarterback. You had Derrick Henry. You got these. You had a Lamborghini. You had an offense that was built to go to the Super Bowl, and you couldn't do it with that offense. Now you got a forward focus offensive. No. I know you got a name. You built up a name. You built up a reputation. Now we respect that, but no. What I want is and I'm not saying this person, but I need this type of person, a Pete Carroll. I need a person that can relate to young players. I want the ex Miami Dolphins head coach, the black guy. Give me somebody like that. But I don't want a coach that had an MVP quarterback and couldn't get him to the Super Bowl.
Oh, wait a minute. Now hold on.
More of a red flag.
Did they or did they not go? They went to the playoffs last year, right? I'm being serious. They went to the playoffs last year. They went to the playoffs all the other years. There's been a series of mishappenings that have happened in the postseason. He lost Lamar for like a month this last year. They wouldn't have been to the play. I mean, we were talking about them. They started off 1-5. The questions were about Lamar. They were not necessarily about John Harbaugh, and they weren't necessarily about Derrick Henry. They ran Derrick Henry a ton. Like, there are questions that have to be answered about Lamar here, too.
Okay, but at the end of the day, you had Lamar Jackson. You had the two-time MVP, but you couldn't make it to the Super Bowl.
But you're telling me things. You're telling me things that happened then, and I'm talking about what could happen in the future with that franchise. See, you're doing the thing about Lamar that I was just doing about John Harbaugh, because I'm looking at a guy who's 63 years old. Like, how much more is he going to be willing to give? That's the pitfalls that I think that we need to think about here, Cool Ray. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, if you have the two, hold on. You just said it. A two-time MVP. You have a high-paid contract, right? They gave him what he wanted, right? Right. Where's his responsibility in all this then? Where's his responsibility, Cool Ray?
It is also Lamar's responsibility too. But we also looking at.
But you're just blaming John Harbaugh. You're just blaming John Harbaugh. Where's Lamar's responsibility?
I blame the coach too, just like I blame Stefanski, because at the end of the day, you know, who's going to follow in that sword? The coaches, right?
Of course.
So my thing is this, but we also with this team here, and I know you guys are smart. This team here, whoever they bring in, has to be able to take on more than just the coach, because that defense was top 2, top 1 in the league. So he's going to have to also be able to say, I'm going to take on that defensive coach. He ain't going to have a say-so.
Why can't he?
Harbaugh is not going to want to come in and be like, oh, I'm going to be able to just I'm not going to have say-so with my defense.
Oh, I think John Harbaugh is way more amenable to that. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, but he's loyal to his coaches, and I know we were all upset with Kevin Stefanski over holding on to Bubba Ventura. And I'll say this, if we want to talk about people's past, thank you very much for the call, Cool Ray. I mean, this was a guy who was willing to change his offense, do a lot of different things, and go and make a gutsy move, be a part of that organization, and do what was necessary to go from Joe Flacco during a year where his you-know-whats were close to the bandsaw that year, and go to Lamar Jackson and then come out looking great. He was willing to do that. That was something he did. That's on his resume. Yes.
I just want to know what happens to Lamar Jackson in the playoffs when he turns into a pedestrian quarterback. I mean, Baker Mayfield has a much better QBR and quarterback rating in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson. How does that happen?
Can't all be everybody else's fault.
Nobody thinks Baker is a better quarterback than Lamar. And then come playoff time, Lamar slams his helmet into the corner. He's got his 5 blankets on the sidelines. He looks miserable. He starts pressing. He starts putting his team behind the 8 ball with bad miscues in the first quarter.
I think I don't know if it's like the lights are too bright or anything like that. I do think the pressure of the history starts to get to him. And I don't know how you change that.